Morning.
What's happening?
Not much. How about you?
Have you ever seen Uncut Gems?
I don't think so.
The Adam Sandler one?
No.
You gotta watch that.
Is it new?
I can't get it off my mind. 2019, I think. 2020, 2019?
Okay.
Yeah. It's anxiety. It'll give you a little anxiety, though.
What's it about?
Well, it's essentially a gambler. He's a gambler.
Oh, is that the one reason like New York? I think I've seen parts of it, maybe.
He's a jeweler.
A diamond. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw parts of it. I didn't watch it all.
And you bailed. Oh, okay.
Maybe it was making me too anxious.
Oh, yeah. It's the life. It's the life, but that's the life.
We watched The Creator again on Saturday night. That's probably my fourth time watching it. Anik's first time. And she's still integrating like all of the impact it had on her. Like for her, it was really impactful.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I watched all that. But like, okay, do you get something new every time?
Or maybe I don't. Not for that one. No, I wouldn't say so. But it's still like the theme and the message of it to me feels so deep because it's like it makes you realize that okay, like if love is coming from a robot, like and you truly feel the love, then like to me that's a bit of a mind fuck because like there was this preconceived notion of like only living entities can be loving, but if you're feeling love from something that's non-living, then like is it artificial love? Is it real? Like made me question a lot of stuff around unconditional love. And in the end of the day, everything is created by source. Everything is an extension of source. Source is unconditional love. So no, there is no difference whether it comes from a machine or not.
That's where I think like the duality comes in, right? If it's the same thing that maybe you're saying, just that all is one and one is all. And so if you get love from a tree, then you get love from a tree. You're feeling the same feeling, right?
Exactly. It's not love, unconditional love, even though it feels like it comes from somebody else, like an external source. In reality, it's really being harnessed from within us. We're just using that other person or the tree or the cat or whatever it is as a permission slip to tune into that feeling of love.
Yeah. What about like just attention? Like there's like, of course, there's always a honeymoon phase. And so maybe there's honeymoon phases with friendship or gambling or this movie I just watched.
Yeah, so
it is different, but
I think it only changes because perception changes. Maybe it's like yesterday on the Breakthrough Club call, we talked about, it was the first call of the month. This month is all about overcoming scarcity cycles.
Okay.
And we talked about how one person, if they manifest $1,000, to them, it might create huge feelings of appreciation. Yeah. Somebody else who manifests $1,000 might create no appreciation. And it's all based on like the baseline that you're living at. So if your baseline is you've never earned $1,000, then $1,000 to you feels like a lot of money and you're going to appreciate it. But if you're used to making $10,000 every month and all of a sudden in a month you only earn $1,000, well, that doesn't feel like appreciation. That feels like scarcity, right?
Okay.
So our perception of reality is based on kind of the baselines of experience that we're used to having. And we allow those experiences to be filtered through that baseline. And that's how we kind of label them or categorize them or allow our emotions to be dictated by them.
Have you figured out a way to like reset the baseline?
A little
Because
bit.
that would be the ultimate, right? If you
I
were
mean,
pulling in $1 million a day and you got used to,
yeah. So on the topic of appreciation, I feel like for me, the key to tuning into it, no matter what my reality looks like, is appreciating the fact that like I exist and I'm having this physical reality experience.
right?
One of the books that I read, I don't remember if it was one of the Journey of Souls books or something else, basically said that, there's only like 7 billion souls on the planet,
Mm.
and that like there's hundreds of billions of souls who want to come here, and very few souls get chosen to have this experience. So like, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but filtering my reality from that vantage point allows me to be in appreciation for like existing and having this 3D physical experience.
What was the soul thing from? What's that from?
So there's a book called Journey of Souls. It's one of the first spiritual books that I've read. And what it is, it's a past life hypnotherapist that would take somebody into a past life
Mm.
right to the moment where they're about to transition back into the non-physical and have them describe their experience. And he did thousands and thousands of cases, and most people were describing similar experiences. So he turned these common experiences into a series of books. People who struggle with grief, that's the first book I recommend to them.
Mm.
And I've got a friend who's trained. So now you can do like, there's hypnotherapists who are trained under his program, and you can go and do this past life or in between life work.
What was the common experience?
A myriad of things from like souls going through these like evolutionary levels, almost like a school where you come into physical reality based on like what grade you're in. It talks about how
That's what they said at the end of their life. They were thinking that thing.
what would happen is their life would end and they would be a soul again. So he would get them to describe the experience of being a soul.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Goes into soul families, how we often reincarnate with kind of our soul families.
Mm.
And what's interesting about that is that if you look at the astrological placements of your family members, your close friends, people that have been in your life for a long time, you'll notice that like a lot of those people all have the same astrological signs, or like for us, like I noticed that there's a lot of Cancer in my family.
Okay.
And like a lot of Scorpio. So you'll notice that if you look at a lot of your family members, you'll notice a lot of similar astrological placements, which is interesting.
Do you think even like with all your collective stuff you've always done, is most of it kind of that way? Like I think I'm all those things.
I don't know. Like
when Nick did the astrology thing for me, she's like, "Oh yeah, it's like basically somewhere between me and like you and her, and it's all the same." And then we're all like with the human design.
Yeah, like we've got a lot of similarities, and it's like
Yeah.
Nick and I. Like if you look at an astrology chart, it's like a circle with the planets, right? There's like 4
Right.
quadrants, and if you look at her chart and my chart, our charts literally look like complete opposites. It's like I'm all top half, she's all bottom half. Like it's really fascinating. And she does sidereal astrology, and I did a session with her teacher back when she was training under him, and he did like a comparison chart between her chart and my chart, and he put them side by side, and his first comment was, "Oh yeah, you found your queen." Cool. Right. So I think that when we come into reality, we choose our partners. We come in with the agreement that we're going to come together with these specific people, and like, for some of those comings togethers, it's to trigger certain things, certain contrast, certain growth, and for others, it's like Nick and I, it's extremely complementary.
No throwing pans at each other.
Not yet.
Any arguments ever?
Honestly, no. Nick, I don't think she's tuned in today, but Nick, if you're tuned in today,
you're gonna have to throw a pan at her.
Like we're both very receptive and level-headed. So like, and communicative. So like, there's never a need to throw pans at each other because.
Are you both Scorpio?
No, I'm.
Oh, okay.
So in tropical astrology, I'm a Leo. In sidereal astrology, I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
But my chart, even inside wheel, is full of Leo stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I just always I was like when you said something about Scorpio, because my wife and I are both Scorpios, and that's supposed to be like get after each other.
My brother's a Scorpio. My kids are, one's a Cancer and Gemini, dad's a Gemini. Yeah, Scorpio. There's a lot of, my brother and his whole family are almost all Scorpio.
Really?
Yeah.
And so they think that that's all sent in from, but I think why not? And especially like it's all the internet stuff. Yeah, maybe you find the people you're supposed to find.
Yeah.
How receptive are you to that? I'm not.
I mean, even if you look at Nick and I, like, look at our synchronicities. We share the same name, right? Nick, Nick, right? So we share the same name. When we met, we were both driving the same type of car, both into the spiritual work, and we found out we left our marriages on the same day before we'd ever met, right?
Wow.
So for me, it's like that's too many coincidences bucketed together to just be coincidence, right?
Yeah. Then what do you do with it? But okay. But then the forces combined, this is what I was saying to you last week, that your forces combined create this dominating power.
Yeah, totally.
Do you think that's what Jerry and Esther were up to?
I never attended Abraham-Hicks when Jerry was around, so I never had the opportunity to meet him.
Okay.
I think there's so many similarities between Anik and I and Jerry and Esther, where like Anik channels the exact same way Esther does. I've always been the inquisitive one.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of similarities for sure.
Yeah, I think that, well, I know you've mentioned in the past, like puzzle stuff. You enjoy the puzzle of it all. And I think that every time I think about that dude, it was very much that he was writing the book while she's channeling. Like he's getting all the stuff down. He's like, let's turn this event into also making money event.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, that like the magic of reality is the understanding, it's the decoding. It's like us in the remote viewing, like damn, it's so much fun, right? And like, yeah, wagers is part of the fun, but like, helping Lydia's mom find a lost item last week that was really important to find.
Yeah, that was great.
That was huge too, right? So it's like, I just want to find more practical stuff. And I know there's still, so we got about 10 missing item submissions from our call 2 weeks ago. I've done 2 so far. So we're just kind of getting through them as I have time to. So those of you guys who have lost items that you submitted stuff, we'll get to them eventually.
Yeah. So I got pissed at you 2 days ago because it's like, God damn it. Yeah, you were just being indifferent, and I'm already indifferent enough. Like, come on, just make a decision. I don't care if you win or lose. But the worst thing in the world, I've told you this 7 times. The worst thing in the world is a tie or an indifference. I'm not interested. Maybe it's an American cowboy thing, but because that's my life. My life is waiting and being indifferent, and I don't know what to do. And then like you're my guru, and my guru's saying, "Well, I don't know." I'm like, "No, it's one. It's this one or this one."
You know what? I think what we almost would need is like a third party.
No. No, it turns out I just needed to do my own thing. And I thought about this is because it was like, okay, I wasn't practicing myself. I wasn't practicing. And so the second you showed me a site that said, hey, here's all the things you need. And so I did my part, and then I did your part, and won a bunch of money.
And in the end, you were right about the analysis, and I was wrong. Right?
2 in a row. That's the only problem. It was 2 in a row that you were wrong about the analysis.
Yeah, and it's like what I question is, am I picking up data from the 2 targets?
You're too much. You're too good.
Well, it's about me learning to refine what I'm calibrating to when I'm tuning into a target.
Yeah. So the picture was of a sailboat. Well, you drew like sails. They were upside down, but they were awesome. And you go, this
I had the word sailboat, right? Yeah. I even wrote down sailboat. And then I look at the data, and then as soon as I see the image of the sailboat, I'm like, fuck yeah. Right. And then I was like, okay, well, let me look at the other image. And I went
off and did the next tasking and come back to indifference. And I'm like, so we start over. Right. And I don't want to start over.
Yeah, but and for me, it's the learning process of like, you know, I want to get to a place where we can predict sports outcomes 100%. Right.
Yes.
Right now, we're averaging 66%.
Higher
And
than that. You're higher than that.
yeah, but I
More
want
than
to,
that.
yeah, but I want to make sure that, I'm trying to figure out this 1 out of 3 targets that we're getting wrong. Is it jumping to conclusions? Is it me getting too much data from the 2 targets? Like it's like the sifting and sorting process that I'm trying to kind of work through.
Okay, so and I've thought of this too. Oh, you froze. Are you there? Okay. So have you watched any of the games?
No, I don't even
It's
have cable.
amazing. It's
Even
amazing.
even if I wanted to watch the games, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, you'd have to have like YouTube TV or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I've watched the games and they're like seriously, they were down by 22 in the 4th. So it's like, dude, this is over. And they
Yeah.
came back and won. And it was like, and I'm yelling and screaming at 10:30 at night. And it's great. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of it. Now, having done my own and like I watched 6 games last night, it was too much. It was like, okay, I'm tired.
Yeah.
But like the ones I watched, they won. They come back and won, or they dominated, won, and it was very exciting. And that's what I got out of it. That's what I needed for those 2 days. I got that out of it.
Yeah.
But like, don't you feel like the gambling is small potatoes anyway?
Yeah. I mean, it's only for me, it's only $2 bets, right?
No, I know, but like even if they were $1,000 bets, it's small potatoes. It's like if I go to uncomfortable levels, like I don't want to bet $1,000. I'm not going to bet
No, 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 no,
$1,000.
no,
It's
no.
scary.
And that's
But
not really even the point. So like,
nah, but what I'm saying is, go ahead.
I think the point is like finding practical uses of this. So like
Yes.
Lydia's on the chat. Lydia, can I share what I looked for your mom this week? Drop a yes in the chat window if give me permission to share.
Yeah, she's into it.
That was the first real, we'll call it 2 practical things this week. They're both lost items.
Okay.
One, the person had already found it, but they said that I described the exact location perfectly. And then the second thing was what Lydia's mom lost, which she realized was lost in the morning and then had to look for it. Couldn't find it. Lydia said, I know, I'm going to reach out to Nick. And when I did the data, I got very specific data. I said, like, there's a Virgin Mary on the wall. There's a creaking sound, like a creaky floor or a creaky door. There's this color of a cabinet. And like, it ended up being exactly what I described and where I described it. So like, for me, it's fun to view like pictures of things, which is great practice. And that's all you need to practice. But it's so much more fun when you're using this stuff in a practical way.
Right. And so have you thought any more about the practicality of it, like a binary practicality of it?
Not for the ARV binary prediction stuff. I don't know. Like we could predict who's going to stand on the president's podium, after the elections or like stuff like
That still
that.
feels like small stuff. Like I think that it's almost a decision. Like, yeah. I mean, I started getting feelings more like what I think you describe all the time is that, okay, it's time to go for a walk right now. So I went out in nature. I was more tapped into that the last few days.
Yep.
She's so magical, so powerful. I was there receiving Nick's clues and witnessing my reality from my mom and my mom's.
It's funny. She sent me a video of the creaky cabinet, like it was in a cabinet.
Okay.
And I told her, and I said in the data, I said, it's down low, it's near the ground. And it was this like hutch with these like cabinet doors at the bottom. And she sent me a video of her opening and closing the cabinet and sending me the squeak sound. It was pretty funny.
That's great. Yeah. And so what was the other one? Oh, the person had already found the thing.
Yeah, it was like some cloths or something that went missing. And I described the funny thing about that data is I said the word like accordion. There's like something accordion shaped. And I guess they had some kind of accordion folding door that was next to where he found it.
Okay, so what's the bigger high? What's the bigger high? And maybe that doesn't matter. But finding the lost item in the creaky cabinet or winning on the Bulls. Maybe we're used to the winning.
I think finding the lost item because it was an important item.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, she has the footage. I don't know. She hasn't given permission to say yes or no, but it was pretty cool.
It was super cool.
All right. So, okay, let's go more practicality, because I think you could like, you certainly could like preview a direction to go if you were indecisive about A or B, right? I think that that's a practical application, because I think a lot of people in your, in your groups wonder, should I do this or this?
But I don't think there's an answer. Like,
But why not? But maybe that's what they need at that moment.
but with the A or B, you need to put the object in the envelope after the outcome happens.
Not true. So here's how I did it. I put my tasking number in C11 okay, whatever came to me, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, and I channeled it, and I was like, okay, I wrote down all the descriptions of it.
Yeah.
And then I had my games. I went and chose my games.
Yep.
So it's decision A or B.
Yeah.
Right? Yes or no. I don't know which one to do. Yes or no. Okay.
Yep.
Then I viewed it, and it was the second one, which would be no, or it was the first one, which would be yes, or if depending on how I did it, right? And so it was like, okay, now do the thing. Now, here we were talking about it last night. So the difference between that and a coin flip, right? You're essentially flipping a coin. You could just skip the whole process and flip a coin, but at least this is like coming to you.
Yeah, and I would say we're 66 to 80% accurate.
Yes.
So if we're 66 to 80% accurate on predicting a coin flip outcome, then we're beating the odds.
And I think everyone in the group is too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So if you said, but you would have to come up with I mean, one of the times I heard in your calls is, should I take this job or this job? Now, you know that it doesn't matter, and it's all good no matter what.
Yep. And that applies to the remote viewing too, because if you step into the remote viewing from a place of pure confidence of, yeah, I'm choosing the winner, yada, yada, I'm in the vibration of success.
Yeah.
Then your remote viewing should match up to the winning target.
Yeah.
If you step into it with the vibration of, I don't know if this is going to work, then odds are you're going to have the displacement or pick the wrong one or not get any right data, right? So I don't think it's just only about your skill as a viewer. I think it's also about the energy and the vibration you're practicing when you're doing the session.
Right. And so you could skip the whole process and just contain the confidence. Just have the confidence and pick it.
You could stick, if you're truly a master at this, you could skip even the remote viewing step and say, yeah, I'm picking this team. Maybe we try that today. Maybe you pick 5 games and I'm going to step into my energy and confidence, and we'll see of those 5 games how many I can correctly predict.
Yeah, but just do that.
You
don't need me. You don't need me for that.
Yeah, but it's more fun to do this with somebody.
I know, but then it's like, that's the other thing. It's like becoming like a 4-hour day. I knocked those out in 30 minutes. I knocked out 6 in 30 minutes. I was like, go, 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 go. Let's go.
Cool.
Hi, Brooke.
What's everybody else going on in the chat today? The chat's quiet.
They want to hear us. What's new with you? Anything over the week?
Not much. Snow's starting to melt, which is nice. I can taste disc golf season slowly approaching.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get back outside and be a little bit more active.
Would you ever move? I mean, I guess your kids are right there.
Yeah, not till my kids are older. I mean, for where we live in this province, like we're right on the beach. Like I don't think there's any better place to live from a physical vantage point in our region. I do think Canada, like the healthcare system's falling apart. Like there's
is it really?
Yeah. There's a lot of but I don't know if this is happening all over the world. Right? I don't know if it's just Canada that's kind of on a slow downward incline. I know the US is. I
think you always pretend like it is forever. I think like I overheard my kid, my 9-year, well, no, he's 12. My 12-year-old, he just turned 12, and they're talking about solar flares and the end of the world and stuff. I was like, yeah, I had that when I was 12, and it was earthquakes. Earthquakes were the end of the world. It's always the end of the world. But Okay, so here where I live, I have all the seasons. I have all 4 seasons. But you could play golf at any point. Like we've done it. We played golf at least one day in every month.
Okay, yeah, you can't do that here for sure.
Yeah. Like it's no problem to play golf in January. There's always going to be like a day where it's like 45.
Yeah,
Like,
and it feels like we're getting closer to that. Like right now, for most of this winter, we've seen like grass outside. But now, like I would say 30, 40 years ago, like when I was a kid, the ski hills would open like early December, like first week of December, the ski hill would be open. And now like this year, I bet it's barely even opened.
where would you live?
I like warm weather. I like tropical weather.
Tropical.
Yeah, I know Costa Rica is kind of the cliche place right now. Definitely closer to the equator. I like Scandinavia too. So I'm not sure. I also like Spain. Yeah.
Scandinavia. I don't know.
Yeah.
Scandinavia.
Yeah, my brother lives in Denmark, and it's like, I don't know, people just seem so much more evolved, and everything is clean, and like I can see why the happiest countries are in Scandinavia.
What's the climate there? That's farther north though. That's not tropical.
It's farther north, but it's warmer.
Really?
Yeah, because of the jet streams.
Oh.
Jet streams are different.
Yes. Okay, we got a question. Thank goodness. What do you think about dreams?
I think there's a lot of stuff that could be said about dreams. That's kind of a broad question, right? Like I used to have precog dreams as a kid. I think there's some dreams that are kind of there to like help bring emotions to the surface that are looking to be processed. I think some dreams are just crazy out of left field. So yeah, I don't know. What about dreams, Lydia? What would you like to know?
Yeah, what would she like to know? I think that it would be interesting if you tapped into that. There's something either not interesting to you or
it's like the alien stuff. Like dreams don't interest me a whole lot. The alien stuff doesn't interest me a whole lot. I like practical.
Right. Like wild practical.
Yeah, like I like leading edge, next level practical.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other stuff is dreams can be practical for sure though.
Oh yeah, and I think for some people, I think that's one of the main ways that spirit communicates with them.
She's asking because she had a strange dream and says no further.
Tell never about your strange dream, Lydia. You know what? We should be able to bring people into the video chat with us. Maybe we need to look at doing that.
There's a banner here that says, "Hey, come on, you want to be in the hot seat?"
Oh, that's an old banner. Yeah, I'd have to update that page, but maybe we'll start bringing people in the hot seat. How many people here would want to join us on video? Drop yes in the chat window.
Yeah.
Oh, Nana says she lives in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
I've been there many times. I'm trying to remember the name of the small town my brother lives in just outside of Copenhagen. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I love Denmark. Denmark's a cool place.
Wait, yes, because it's taking forever. She wants to hop on the call because she can't type fast enough.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not set up to bring people on, but maybe we'll look into that.
Yes, they're all loving it. Yes.
Okay, we'll look into that. Maybe next week we'll start bringing guests in onto the calls with us.
Yeah, it would just be like I could do it now, but okay. Yeah, you just set up that other screen, right?
Yeah, we create a third little banner
Make
thing.
me really small. Yeah. Make me over here.
We'll have two small windows and one big one.
Yeah, just wave.
We'll zoom in on everybody.
Okay, I think the practicality of but you're just not interested in it. The dreams. Yeah, do you think that's part of your astrology? Because
I think I don't know if you would say astrology, but like it's like, it's highest excitement, right? There's some people who are obsessed with aliens, right? It's like
that's fun.
Yeah, but for me, it's like there's no excitement there, right? Because like I think a lot of people are hoping aliens are going to come down and save humanity from the bad guys, and I don't see that happening. And do I believe aliens exist? Yeah, for sure, right? I think that aliens are quasi spiritual or fully spiritual, and maybe aliens are no different than spirit guides. Like I've heard tons of different explanations and stories, and But for me right now in my reality where I sit, is that relevant to me? No.
Have you felt that though? Like have you ever felt like it's not hopeless, but it's a desire of change? Like I see you as pretty well grounded. You're rooted in your thing. You like the way things are going. If a meteor came and crashed into the earth, that would be a negative thing to you. Whereas some people don't like life or they want to change. And so if aliens showed up, well, that's exciting. Number one.
Yeah, but it goes back to like, okay, so we're gonna go deep down the rabbit hole here.
Please.
Here's what remote viewing has really taught me.
All right.
This is gonna sound a little bit somber.
Okay.
So I'm reading this book, right? I think it's called like Drawing with the Right Side of the Brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a book about drawing, but this book was a required book for all military remote viewers to read. And the reason for that is what this book teaches is in order to be a good drawer, to draw well, you draw with the right side of the brain. And it's about turning off the left side. So the left side is the analytical mind, the ego mind, the inner critic mind, the side of you that does math, the intellectual thinking side. That's your left side. And the psychic data, the intuitive data, the remote viewing data comes in from the right side of the brain. But because we're left brain dominant, you can't get access to that information until you learn to really quiet this side of your brain. Right. So the awareness is that this left side of the brain, the analytical brain, is the one that's tied to 3D physical reality. We need that part of the brain to interface and have this physical reality experience. So left brain connects to physical, right brain connects to spirit. Okay. And that's why I can drop into my right brain, turn off this thing, and go figure out exactly where this object that Lydia's mom lost in a different country. Right? Mm-hmm. Because this has access to the infinite potential and the all that is. Mm-hmm. So the more I practice remote viewing, the more I can feel the separation of the two brains. The more I can tell I'm in this brain versus that brain.
Okay.
And if I look at humanity, if I look at humans, I would say most humans are dominantly are absolutely left brain dominant, meaning that they're processing 99% of the reality with this, and they're barely tapping into this. And because humans are so dominant in that left brain, that's where fears are active. That's where scarcity mindset is active. That's where maybe greed is active. All of the destructive human programming that humans have that no other animal has on the planet comes from this part of the brain.
Okay.
So my belief is that humans are, we'll call it destroying the planet because of the imbalance between that left side of the brain and the right side of the brain.
Okay. Okay. What? Yeah, I almost want to say like if we're top of the food chain, and
but okay,
so
let's use the word top of the food chain.
Yeah.
What makes us top of the food chain? The fact that we're dominant over all of the other species?
Yeah, the ability to change the environment around you.
And does that truly make us top of the food chain, or does that make us controlling and destructive?
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of the argument, but there's also, there's no doubt that we are different than the rest.
And if you want to take that a step further, so like we're the only species on the planet that wars the way we do, and
that's not true.
Kills.
That's for nature. War, like an assembled war.
Well, to the extent that we're doing it, though.
Yeah. Okay. So but maybe that's just maybe that's reverting back to that nature side. Maybe that's going to the left brain side is where war comes from.
Left brain being the fear part.
No, the other side. Because that's that's nature. Nature is destructive.
I don't think the part that connects to source, and operates out of unconditional love and
Why not?
overflow, why would
Why
it
not?
have a need for war?
Well, it's nature.
I think
If
wars.
you look at nature, and you see destructive nature, you can go to Instagram, nature is metal, and destroy your whole day.
Okay.
But like for real, like nature is metal. Like it's hardcore. War is hardcore. You can watch the Ukrainians destroying, you can watch them shoot each other in the head. Okay. It's very primitive. It's territorial. And then that other side of the brain is structure building. Now, yes, fear and all that stuff. I don't know if fear comes to it. You think fear comes from the analytical brain?
Yeah, I think fear comes
Maybe.
from the ego or the inner critic.
It would be interesting.
When you're connected to source, and I
Yeah.
attribute source to the right side of the brain, there's no fear. There's nothing but like peace and like unconditional love.
Yeah. Let me think about this, because I think that there is like I hear what you're saying. And I think that it is important to either balance or, I would assume that you're in a balanced state, right? If you used one side of your brain, you're saying 90% of the people, or 95, however many percent of the people, there's an imbalance using more the other side of the brain, right?
Yeah,
What you're
because
saying is,
if you look at society, education, teaching, like everything is focused on the development of that left side of the brain.
Okay, but I'm also saying that I think that the nature part of it, like if you look at nature, it is violent, but peaceful at the same time, right? I think you get both of those, that yin and yang, on that side of the brain. So maybe by drawing on the left side of your brain, you become more violent. You become the cowboy.
Well, you draw automatically when you draw. Drawing is the right side of the brain, right? That's the like artist intuition. When you draw, that's where it's. If you're drawing well, that's, I think, is where it comes from.
Yes.
So like, how do you develop that right side of the brain? Well, meditation, remote viewing, art. Like, how much time is society spending doing those things?
Yeah. Okay, here we go. War is expansion. You guys should listen to Abe explaining these things. There is no wrong. There's only expansion.
No, and we're not talking about right or wrong here, right? So you can look at things from so many different vantage points, right? So it's not about fixing war, getting rid of war. This is the planet of polarity. I don't believe war is ever going to go away on this planet.
But you feel like there's a evolution or an ascension if you use the other hemisphere of your brain.
I think the more you're connected to the other hemisphere of the brain, the more developed the other hemisphere is, the more connected you are to source, the stronger your intuition becomes, the more peaceful of a person you become. Because I think, if we talk
maybe
about
the more violent you become too. Maybe you become more peaceful and more violent.
I don't know. I think
I'm onto something.
I think violence comes from, fear, repressed emotions, seeking safety in some way. And I think those are all fueled by inner critic or ego.
Yeah. Darwin was misunderstood because nature is co-creation, pure energy source. So are creative more balanced than most in the way they use their brain?
Possibly.
And that's the question, right? Could you EKG?
And by the way, we are not brain experts in any way, shape, or form. This is just conclusions. This is conclusions or assumptions that I'm kind of reflecting on through my journey.
You're going through
remote viewing. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to that because it would be interesting. I've been left-handed my whole life, and I think that makes me a little something special. And maybe my brain is on the other side.
Yeah, very possible.
And so knowing that, I have the ability to use war and I have the ability to find peace in nature. I feel like it is both sides of that. And then, you could do all, like, certainly more creative. I don't know. I don't know if it's more or less creative.
I think I've noticed that people who are left-handed are more creative.
I mean, that's all I want to do is create all day. Whether it's like you always talk about, you
And,
create the best sandwich ever or
and,
whatever
I,
you do.
and I'm the same way, but I'm right-handed. So I don't know.
So maybe you've tapped into it.
Well, what I read in that book is that everybody is both hemispheres are kind of working together until like the age of like 8 or 10 or something like that. And then the separation starts to happen of left side, right side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This guy's yelling. Jerry.
The purpose of life. Hey, Jerry. If the purpose of life is love, which is equal to peace, how does taking that away from someone else equal to love? Let me read that again. If the purpose of life is love, I think the purpose of life is rediscovering our connection to source. How does taking that away from someone else equal to love? Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know, saying that you have to take love from someone.
I don't think you can take love from someone.
Yeah, love is like a
you either
practice it.
You either practice it or you don't.
There's not like a pie that's dwindling.
It's like an emotion. You either tune into it or you don't.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's not even creating it; it's just tapping into it. Maybe there's no creation at all, right?
Every emotion, including love, is always available to anyone.
Sure.
Right? So, like right now, you can think of a thought that's going to make you feel good enough. Right? Yeah. Think about all of the amazing remote viewing sessions you've done over the last 2 weeks. Use that to tune into the feeling of good enoughness, or think about all the sessions that you failed and sucked at, and you can use that to tune into not good enoughness. Right? Both ends of that stick are always available on all emotions.
Yeah. Someone once said fighting for peace is like screwing for virginity. Yeah. So he's talking, you're creating a wartime, like a wartime economy for us. Yeah, but maybe that's a separate thing. I think that there's people that find money in war and are driven that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't know. I don't know how I feel, because, if it was left to you and I, maybe we wouldn't have wars, or maybe I don't know, maybe we would.
Yeah, I mean, I have no use for wars.
Right. But then we can't do everything, so we have to delegate. And then maybe that guy's into war. Maybe there's a war guy that's into war and calls it defense, right?
Yeah.
That is why you should go to Copenhagen and live in neutral places. Okay. The Inu's talking about Shiva, destruction is part of the cycle.
Yeah, and it totally is. Like,
I'm not following that. Can you explain it?
Well, it's like, we come here for expansion. Right?
Okay.
Like the reason we come into 3D physical Earth reality is for the experience of growth and expansion. That can't happen without contrast.
Okay.
So the greater the contrast, the greater the opportunity for that growth and expansion. So Earth being the planet of polarity, right? We're meant to experience giant swings in polarity here. So of course, destruction can only be experienced, or what's the opposite of destruction? Peace, right?
Sure.
Stability.
Sure.
Right? That can only be experienced with the presence of destruction. So both polarities of all things must exist.
The presence, or the like you diving into it?
Like, you cannot experience peace if war is not present.
Sure. But now, do you have to be like an activist, or you have to pay attention to the war to live peace? You can just hang out on the peace side.
Not if it's not relevant to you.
Okay. Right? Okay. Yeah. That's just curious. Like, if it's necessary, but we can just be the people of peace over here, right? And then the war people can look at us and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what do I teach? I teach people how to connect to source.
Yes.
Right? Can I go out and teach the entire planet to connect to source? Of course not. But what I can do is I can support and nurture the 60 or 80 people in the Breakthrough Club or in School of Expansion for them to find their connection to source and live connected to source. And from those 80 people living connected to source, well, that's going to create ripple effects of other people connecting to source.
Right.
So it's like, it's never about trying to change everybody else. It's about changing yourself. And by changing yourself, that creates those ripple effects.
Is your process more of an invitation? You're just like inviting, here, come on in if you want, right?
I mean,
you're not seeking those people.
I mean, for me, the more people showing up on those live calls, the more potent they feel and the greater the impact to me it feels like it's having.
Sure.
Right? So if you said, Nick, do you want 100 people or 10,000 people on your live calls every week? I'd say bring the 10,000, man. Let's let's create massive ripple effects. Right. But I'm busy appreciating and celebrating the people who are showing up.
Right. And I guess I was just asking if you're like finding them out, seeking them out, but I don't think it's that.
I don't think that works.
It's more of an invitation.
When you seek out too much, you're practicing the vibration of the absence of those people. So you're going to propagate that. So there's a balance of seeking and allowing.
Yeah. Some people here have actually started preparing for war. I hope they're wrong. Where's that at? Oh, that's in Copenhagen?
Denmark.
Oh,
yeah, I think a lot of Europe is kind of on edge a little bit.
Why? Just for funsies?
I don't know. I think I don't follow news. So I don't know exactly why.
Yeah, I feel bad about myself. I looked at like the voting. We had a big voting thing yesterday, and so I was watching it, and it was gross.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel relevant. That's what I can't figure out. Like, even if I wanted to change anything, how do you change anything?
Yeah, it feels like
to become an activist.
Like here in Canada, it doesn't seem to matter who you vote for. It seems like it's going to end up with the same outcome. But at the end of the day, what you experience is not based on what your government's doing. It's based on the vibration you're practicing.
Yeah. So do you like look at more local stuff? Like, I mean, do you hit your town? Or do you not even bother with that? Okay.
I don't even bother.
It's more of like eccentric, the household even, or not even. It's just
it's whatever's relevant to me in my now reality.
Sure. But you're not like, hey, Nick, don't do this. It's not like anything like not controlling, but like suggestive, I guess. Yeah, no interest. Yeah. That's what it feels futile to me. Yeah, that doesn't feel. Oh, too close to Putin. Okay. Listen.
Cool. So what other fun, happy topics can we talk about today? This is probably
right there. That's
probably our most low vibe coffee and co-creation call we've ever had.
They loved it when we were talking about the brains and the wars. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh, I can't say those words.
Neither can I.
Okay. He talks about World War II and his guru frustrated about the pain, but his master explained that war was just part of the script. No biggie, actually, basically. Can't get it well yet. Yeah. Is it shoving your head in the sand? And maybe that's fine too.
And that's a hard conversation to have, right? Because it's easy for me to say, oh, war's no big deal when it's not happening next door.
Right. Exactly. So until then, or maybe it never happens, right? No one's ever knocking down your doorstep. You live head in sand. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all meant to focus on what's relevant to us and what's present in front of us. Like, your power is in you now, like Eckhart Tolle says. And my source co-creational part of me, whatever's most relevant to me is going to be made most relevant to me in my now moment. So that's really where we're supposed to be putting our focus.
Right. Do you try to so going back to, if you had to are you ever confused about a decision? I want to go this way or this way. I don't quite know. You're just so tapped in now that it's not ever
No, there's times where I'm like uncertain on where to go with something, but I just leave it until the certainty comes.
What if you did try to expedite that and remote viewed on that? Like you tried to do this process.
I don't think I would. Okay. Because there's no fear in getting it wrong. I would just go with whatever nudge feels best. And if they were both completely equal, I would just choose one because, again, the end result, it's not about which one I choose, but it's about the vibration. How lined up am I with the end result that I'm seeking as I make that choice?
Yeah. So that's the thing about I had you ask source, right, during a channeling session. Okay, should you ever see the results of your remote viewing? Should you ever see them? I think no, because what you just said implies that no, you shouldn't. It doesn't matter as long as you were lined up with the right answer, which you were.
But
it doesn't matter if it came out wrong.
Your skill as a remote viewer is about building that database, right? So I think without the feedback, you're not going to improve as a viewer.
Yeah. But then in the broad context of life, you're saying it doesn't matter.
Depends on what context you're coming in at it, right? So
Okay,
like,
whatever decision you just had 2 seconds ago, where you were like, sometimes I'm
if,
indifferent and I wait
if,
for it to come.
if it's about the outcome of a decision, then it doesn't matter, right? But if
Okay.
it's about, developing your skill and accuracy as a remote viewer, then I do think you need that feedback in order to do that.
Yeah. I'm trying to find more of the practicality, because I'll admit that the betting is it's fun and it's ups and highs and lows. It's
Yeah, so
wild.
for me, there's no highs and lows in it because
You should watch the games. It's
I'm
so much
not watching the games.
It's so much
I'm
fun.
just doing it. For me, it's more like scientific research,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, what does it take to get to 100% accuracy in predicting sports outcomes?
Do you think that, so most of those are like, it kind of reverts back to a 50-50 coin flip is what they're all saying?
Well, I watched a podcast a few weeks ago where these are guys that have been doing this for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that, very rarely do they see anybody breaking 50%. And, so if we're hitting 60, 80%, we're killing it. Right.
Yeah. That's why, like, part of the you learning, because you'll send me over things like, hey, look at this script was written. Yeah, but those guys are losers. They're all losers and they're all gray and they're all losers. They're alcoholics. I'm not you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, we create the process. We create.
Well, that's I think what a lot of those guys are missing is that there's a co-creational element involved. You're not predicting an outcome, you're actually choosing an outcome.
Yeah.
And that's what flipped the script for us in terms of results when placing the wagers was, when we started placing the wagers from the energy of I'm creating the result, I'm choosing the winning team. That's when we boosted our way up to 60 to 80%.
So with my thing, all right, just listen. But so I was thinking, okay, I chosen a bunch of things. I did 9 viewings in the last 2 days. And so would it matter if I bet? This was the question in my head. But in my life, there's little action taking. And so I was like, okay, it is important for me to bet, even though it's $5 a game. It is important for me to bet all these games because I need action in my life. It's like you said last week. You said you choose and you take that choice. Not just wait. And I wait. But you choose it. You go. You start moving your feet.
You line up.
Right. And so I think that, like, I guess I don't know what the next step would be, because I am trying to find a practical, like, everyday use for it.
For remote viewing.
Yeah.
For remote viewing in general, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, it is listening to source.
So I would say, like, the practical part right now, at least for me, is like, I can tell it's building my right brain muscle. Right?
Okay.
I mean, look at the viewings this week. Like, I told Lydia exactly where that object was in her house. We've done the last session we did, and even the day before the practices I did, I was calling things out. So one of the session targets was a guy driving a motorcycle on fire.
Okay.
And, like, I wrote down the word motorcycle. I wrote down the word feels like the sun on the skin.
Okay.
Right. So, like, I can tell my accuracy keeps getting stronger and stronger.
Yes. So
for me, the purpose, like, yeah, it's fun to place little $2 wagers and to see how it's going to impact the results. And, but really the advantage here is developing this right side of the brain that I feel like in some way is strengthening source connection.
Yes.
It's making more available.
So, like, yeah. Do you think that if you did love, let's say this developed and you could find love through it, right? Okay. Because I think it's developing source. I think it's developing your connection to source. Yes. That's it, right? Are you thinking?
I think it's I mean, the connection to source is already there.
For you.
For most people, whether they're pinching it off or not, it's there. Right. So for me, my connection to source is unpinched. And now what this is learning and doing and developing is my ability to take my left brain and like get it out of the way so that I can access through my right brain all of this like deeper source connected information or whatever else might be available there.
Do you think there's a chance that you're like reading it wrong? Like you getting the input from source, but you're interpreting the wrong way? Is there a chance of that?
I mean, it's the way the data comes through in the remote viewing is exactly that. It's interpretation, right? It's symbols. So like I did a session yesterday or the day before, and it was the first impression I got was a crown.
Okay.
So I wrote that down, crown. And then when the target feedback came through, it was 2 pictures. Nothing had anything to do with the crown.
Okay.
I took a picture of the bird. I did a reverse image lookup to find exactly what kind of bird this was. The bird was a kingfisher.
Okay.
So to me, the imprint of the crown was the representation of the type of bird, which was a kingfisher, right? So that because that side of the brain doesn't communicate with language, it communicates through symbolism. So there's a level of decoding that we have to understand and learn and develop in order to strengthen that left brain, right brain communication.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if you have to undevelop certain things. Because if I get a hunch, I get this intuition to go left or make coffee, or every time this happens, I respond this certain way, right? You know, I would imagine a lot of your people, you know, you create enough tension, they respond in certain ways.
But that's the perfect example of how your source selves or people's source selves is feeding them with information and intuitive nudges all of the time.
Right.
But their inner critic brain is filtering that out or ignoring it or saying, no, that's not valid. Don't listen to that. That doesn't make any sense. So don't listen to that. So a lot of people that, you know, we're all getting source connected guidance all of the time, but most people aren't tapped into it.
Do you think that's what it is? It's mostly like inner critics saying no, don't listen to that.
This goes back to the earlier conversation where we talked about the left brain being overdeveloped, and the right brain being too small, so it squashes out all of the goodness that comes from the right brain.
Yeah. So I can kind of get through the inner critic sometimes, and I just wondered if it was a thing where I was misinterpreting it. Like I thought it meant go left when it actually all this time has meant go right, and I was reading it wrong.
Could be.
But yeah, how would you ever know, I suppose?
Yeah. And you know, sometimes people question their intuition because their intuition might lead them straight into contrast.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean it was wrong, right?
Okay.
Your inner being might pull you right into contrast, but that's exactly the contrast it wants you to experience that you need to experience for your up-levelment.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Are we good? That's good, right?
I think so. I'm excited for today's School of Expansion live call because I have a feeling that a lot of the stuff she's going to channel today might be relevant to what we talked about here.
Do you like know ahead of time?
I think it's like nudges of what she thinks the topic is going to be.
Okay.
And I feel like it's relevant to this.
Okay, cool. And she tells you?
Yeah. I asked her.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
It's almost like the flavor of the channeling starts to come through like 24 hours or so before the call.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's and we talked about that, and I think we think the reason is that they need to calibrate her so that she's calibrated to the message that's going to come through, so she can express it clearly.
Do you think she gets more and more calibrated every time?
It's hard
because it does get the message gets better. I mean, it gets better every time. I don't know. Maybe I'm judging incorrectly. Like maybe I shouldn't judge it, but it feels like it's just more. It's more powerful. I don't know. It's connecting better every time. Because I listened to you, like I listened to a session you guys did a year and a half ago. And it was like, it sounded more Abraham-Hicks-y. And now it's like a Nick. Like it's different. It's becoming her.
In my opinion, her channelings are way more potent than the Abraham-Hicks stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's different. It's different, and maybe you graduate, or maybe you need step 1 to get to step 3.
I think it's more relevant. I think Abraham-Hicks is really in the general. It's a very general flavor. right?
Right.
Whereas, and very upliftment flavored.
Yeah.
And with Unix channelings, it's much more practical, direct advice. You know, if you want to change, you got to look at your shit, and this is why you got to look at it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much more change oriented and transformation oriented than just like uplifting people.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with either flavor, but Unix flavor definitely has, in my opinion, more potency to it.
Yeah, and maybe why people like leave the session feeling great, and then a week later,
With Abraham-Hicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, or why a lot of people after they do an Abraham-Hicks cruise, they'll kind of have like an emotional crash.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's because they'll come on the cruise, you spend like a week or 10 days flying super high with all these high vibe people, and then you go back to your regular reality and you don't have that permission slip anymore. And then because you're used to being up here, well, back down to your baseline feels worse than it used to before.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon thing for people to experience, but they eventually work their way back out of it.
Sure, I would hope so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you in a few hours.
Awesome. Yes. See you guys later. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.